Okay, so what we're looking at today is a story about a fight that's been brewing for, get this, 26 years. And it all comes to a head in this one really dramatic document, a formal complaint filed against a massive publishing giant. It details decades of what the author calls injustice. And the way it kicks off, it starts with an incredibly powerful, really personal mission statement.
So those are the opening words from Professor Dr. Mohamed Fayad, right from his letter to the Attorney General of California. And you can see he's not wasting any time. Right from the very first sentence, he's making it clear this isn't just about him. He's framing his whole situation as a tragedy that he believes speaks for tons of other writers and creators out there.
All right, so let's dig into this thing. We're going to unpack this formal complaint piece by piece. We'll talk about who's involved, the long history here, some pretty shocking claims, and what he's actually asking for. And just to be clear, everything we're talking about comes straight from the text of this letter. So, who are the main players in this drama? Well, on one side, you've got the complainant, Professor Dr. Mohamed Fayad. He's an academic and author of some really important foundational books in his field. And on the other side, the accused, John Wiley and Sons. And if that name sounds familiar, it should. They're one of the biggest, oldest publishing houses on the planet. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. To get a sense of his strategy, you just have to look at the distribution list for this complaint. This was not a private letter between two parties. Oh no, he sent copies everywhere. Government agencies like the FTC, the Supreme Court, big banks, universities, the media, and then, in what's got to be a really personal touch, he sent it to his own children. So yeah, this is way more than just a legal filing. This is a full-on public declaration. And Dr. Fayad does not hold back. Not at all. He has a name for this whole 26-year saga. He calls it the tyranny of bullies. So right away, you know this isn't some simple business disagreement. He's describing a conflict that he says has been building for decades, and it's all centered on these foundational, really influential academic works. So let's look at the timeline he lays out in this complaint. It's pretty stark. The story starts in 1998, when the first book comes out. But then, just 1 year later, in 1999, Dr. Fayad alleges the royalty payments just stopped, completely. Then you jump ahead to 2003. The books get translated into Chinese, which sounds great, right? But again, he claims he didn't get paid. After that, it's pretty much radio silence for years, until bam, this formal complaint lands in 2025. And you've got to understand, this wasn't just one guy writing a book in his office. The complaint makes a point to say that over 500 researchers were involved in these projects, all working under Dr. Fayad's supervision. I mean, we are talking about a huge collaborative academic effort here. Okay, so you have this massive team effort, right? Over 500 contributors, books on the market for more than 2 decades. So what's the financial payoff for Dr. Fayad? Well, according to his complaint, his total income from royalties since 1999 has been a big fat zero. Nothing. All right, this is where the language in the complaint gets really serious. He doesn't just call it a contract dispute or a disagreement. No, he makes direct allegations of what he calls overt theft. So the natural question is, what exactly does he say was stolen? Well, the complaint lists a few key things. First up, those Chinese translations from back in 2003. He says he never saw a single penny from them. Then, you've got the whole digital side of things. He mentions immense downloads of his books, and again, claims he got no compensation. He even points out that the books are still for sale online at high prices, which to him is proof that someone is making money, it's just not him. And he says this all started with what he calls an insignificant initial advance. And this quote right here, it just sums it all up. It's so direct. For Dr. Fayad, when you add up all these financial issues, it's not just a case of his work being undervalued, he's alleging it's straight up theft. So, these financial claims, they're not just pulled out of thin air. They're built on what he describes as major breaches of his contract. For instance, he argues that the original contract from '98 never even mentioned electronic publishing. I mean, think about it. That was still pretty new back then. So in his view, all the digital distribution was unauthorized. He also claims his books were put up on Google's platform without his permission, and that he was even denied the basic right to review proofs of his own books before they were printed.
And the document doesn't just talk about money and contracts, it gets into the personal side of it too, the human cost of this decades-long fight. Dr. Fayad talks about feeling betrayed, a sense of deep injustice. He says that what should have been this amazing golden opportunity for his career has turned into a real tragedy for him, both as a creator and as an innovator.
So after laying all this out, the complaint doesn't just end. It wraps up with a very clear, very structured call to action. Dr. Fayad lays out 4 specific demands for the Attorney General, and they're aimed at getting justice for himself, sure, but also at changing the whole system. And his demands are broken down into 4 clear steps. Step 1, he wants a complete, top-to-bottom investigation into John Wiley and Sons. Step 2, he wants an expert committee formed to look specifically at his rights in this case. Step 3, he wants all his financial rights restored, plus damages. And then there's the 4th one, which is arguably the biggest of them all. He's calling for major, systemic reform to create better laws to protect all authors in the future.
And you know that last demand for systemic reform? That's what really leaves you thinking. We've just walked through this one professor's 26-year battle, all based on his own words in this complaint. But it forces us to zoom out and ask a much, much bigger question. In today's world of instant digital downloads, global publishing, and super complex contracts, who really owns creative work? And more importantly, who profits from it? It really makes you wonder.